Even though you know your wife has been secretly selling her body, you can't bring yourself to stop her. Because the money she makes is enough to keep the mortgage paid. You're a white-collar professional making $400,000 a year, yet somehow you're buried under $1.2 million in debt. Your wife loves you. To help you, she goes out every night behind your back to take clients. You've had insomnia for 6 months. Every night you lie awake, because the moment you close your eyes, all you see is your wife having sex with other men. So you open your banking app and stare at those numbers. You can't figure out where it all went wrong. You've been grinding hard for 10 years. Life was already tight even before the raise, so why did a higher salary end up tearing this family apart? Just a month ago, the company announced your raise. Your wife cheered for you. The whole family was wrapped in a sense of unknown, hopeful happiness. Now you can't tell whether this outcome came from not trying hard enough, or from stepping straight into a trap the company had custom built for you. Your coworker Jack got a raise and moved into a bigger house. John got a raise and bought a brand new Tesla. And you? You got a raise and lost the woman you loved. Actually, you lost the negotiation 8 months ago. In a boardroom you'll never see, during a meeting you were never invited to. But you don't know that yet. Right now you're sitting across from your manager, palms slightly damp, watching her scan a document. A document you've rehearsed responses to for 3 weeks. She says the word exceptional. She says it twice. And then she slides the number across the table. 3%, $1,800 a year. You do the math before she finishes her sentence. That's about $125 a month, before the government takes its cut. Your rent climbed 7% in March. Your health insurance jumped 12% in October. You are materially poorer today than 12 months ago, and the woman across from you called that a raise. So you say thank you, because the script in your head doesn't have a better line. Now here's the part that should make your stomach turn. You go back to your desk, you pull up old emails. 2025, 3%, 2024, 3%, and 2023, 3%. You grab coffee with a coworker who clocked maybe 40 hours a week and spent half of them on LinkedIn. The guy who won Employee of the Year, framed certificate still on his cubicle wall. You delivered 3 projects ahead of deadline and saved the company $300,000 in operational costs. Every January, months before you pull a single late night. Executives sit in a room and multiply payroll by a fixed percentage. That percentage is the raise budget, done, sealed. The performance reviews happening in December are theater. The money was already carved up, while you were still writing Q1 goals. But the lie goes deeper than budgets. Your rating, that little label that reflects your performance, isn't based on what you actually did. It's based on a forced curve. Only 10% of any team can exceed expectations. Take a team of 8, 10% is 0.8. You cannot split a human being, so nobody qualifies. Not the person who saved $300,000. Not the one pulling 70-hour weeks, nobody. Everyone lands on meets expectations. Now place that same person on a team of 15. 10% rounds differently, a slot opens. Same work, same results, different headcount, different rating. And that one exceeds slot on the larger team, it never goes to the highest performer. It goes to whoever has been there longest, and would sue if they got passed over again. Legal exposure fills the seat, not talent. Meanwhile, someone has to occupy the bottom 20%. This year it landed on the colleague out sick. Next year the rotation finds somebody else, it has to. Without that churn, they cannot package terminations as performance-based. Your former coworker left twice in 4 years. Started at $55,000, now pulls $85,000. Each jump paid him roughly 25% more. You stayed loyal for 6 years and collected 19%. His disloyalty earned him 55%. Your loyalty cost you $14,000 every single year. Now look one floor up. Executive compensation climbed 10% on base salary alone. Add stock options, worth hundreds of thousands. Add performance bonuses tied to revenue you generated. Total package increase closer to 30%. None of that comes from your 3% pool. Different line item, different structure entirely. Not subject to the merit matrix or forced distribution. When your manager says the company cannot afford more, he is being honest, they cannot afford it for you. Then there is the new hire who started last month. making 22,000 more than you do. Not because he is better, because he was hired at today's market rate. And you were hired at the rate from 6 years ago, plus 3% annually, which never kept pace. 3% compounds, but the market moves faster. Every year you stay, the distance grows. So there are 3 compensation tiers inside the same building. Executives sit in a structure designed to appreciate with the market. New hires get repriced to current reality each time they walk through the door. And you, the person who stayed and delivered, sit in a tier engineered to quietly erode. The effort story was never about rewarding your performance. It was about keeping you locked inside the cheapest tier, long enough that leaving starts to feel too risky. So which tier are you sitting in right now? And who put you there? So you already know the game is rigged. The question is what you actually do about it tonight. Not next quarter, not when you feel ready, tonight. And it starts with something so boring you'll want to skip it. Which is exactly why it works. Open a blank spreadsheet, 1 column, 5 rows. Row 1, your base salary 3 years ago. Row 2, multiply that number by 1.045. Then again, then once more. That's your old salary adjusted for real inflation, at 4.5% per year. Row 3, your current salary after those 3% raises. They handed you like party favors. Now look at the gap. That gap is the money that quietly walked out of your life while you were saying thank you in a conference room. For most people, sitting around 60,000, that number lands somewhere near $3,000 to $4,000. A year in lost purchasing power. Not hypothetical, not projected. Gone. Row 4. Go to any salary aggregator, Glassdoor, Levels, Pay Scale. Type in your exact title, city, and experience, write down the median. That is the number your boss said he needed to check on. He didn't need to check, he needed you to stop asking. Row 5, subtract your current salary from that median, circle it. That is not a negotiation target. That is the size of the discount you are currently offering your employer every single pay period, for free. Because you never ran 5 rows of arithmetic. This is 15 minutes with a laptop. And the nerve to look at what falls out. Most people won't do it because the number feels personal. Like it means something about their worth. It doesn't. It means something about their employer's purchasing department. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You don't have to quit. You don't have to burn a single bridge. But you have to stop volunteering to be underpaid by pretending the data doesn't exist. Now do me a favor, pull up your last raise. Run it against inflation and drop your real number in the comments. Not your title, not your company, just the gap.